make sure you sign the red attendance book so that you know who is in your aisle and we know who is here. Make sure your cell phones are either off or on vibrate. Okay? As you know, Reverend Joe Ledoux is gone this week. He is in Wisconsin, which is where I'm from, celebrating his 40th anniversary with a church that is just south of where I was raised, I think it's McWando, and seeing his son in Lake Geneva. He will be back in the office on Wednesday, so that if there is an emergency of anyone in this congregation, you feel free to call me anytime, day or night, okay? My cell phone number is in the book, and if it's during the day when the office hours are happening, just call and talk to Patty. We have received a request for transportation. There is a person who lives in the Salford area that is interested in joining us on Sunday mornings for worship but does not have a ride to church. If you would be willing to do that, either occasionally or regularly, please be in touch with Patty. And this Tuesday, Lunch Bunch is meeting at 12:30 at La Roca's restaurant. I think that's Italian. And the address and directions are in your bulletin. And this Saturday, Allie is having a VBS workshop, and we need as many people as possible to come out for this. Ironing t-shirts, painting coconuts, cutting out things, painting dolphins, making name tags. That will be at 9 a.m. And that'll run most of the day. Is that correct, Allie?
Well, it'll run until we finish everything.
Yeah.
About noon.
About noon?
Yes.
Okay, so, Saturday morning, it's kind of fun. You come, there's donuts and lots of people here. And we'd love to see you. Does anybody else have any announcements? Well, we don't have Norma here today, so we don't have any more announcements. Nothing? All right. Let us worship God. Come together today and celebrate that Jesus is here in our midst. All we must do is come before God with our faith and our trust and worship God. Please join me in hymn number 15, Rejoice Ye Pure in Heart.
Rejoice, give thanks to the Lord, for the Lord is good.
For his loving kindness is everlasting.
Let the redeemed of the Lord say so.
Whom God has redeemed from the hand of the adversary,
And gathered from the lands,
from the east and the west, from the north and from the south.
let them give thanks to the Lord for his loving kindness.
And for God's wonders to the sons and daughters of men and women.
Let them
Extol God also in the congregation of the people, and praise God at the seat of the elders.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, "Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up your loins like a man. I will question you, and you shall declare to me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? On what were its bases sunk? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the heavenly beings shouted for joy, shut in the sea with doors when it burst out from the womb. When I made the clouds its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling gown, and prescribed bounds for it, and set bars and doors, and said, Thus far shall you come, and no further, and here shall your proud waves be stopped.
All right, I need some kids up here. And we're going to do something a little different today. Instead of, can you hear me now? All right, instead of sitting up here, I want you to sit up here, if you don't mind. This is a make-believe boat, all right, on a nice rainy day. Here's an oar, all right, if you need to paddle your way through this, all right? Don't let me forget to give you these again, all right? What we're going to talk about today is you're going to get, wow, look at you, you fixed your hair. I like it, it's different. I haven't seen you guys for a while, we missed you. This is the boat that Jesus, similar to the boat that Jesus was in when he went with the disciples across the Sea of Galilee, which is what we're going to be studying today in the sermon. But I wanted you guys to get a little version of it. These vessels, once common on the Sea of Galilee, had a single mast rigged with a yard arm from which hung a square sail. And these nearly flat-bottomed boats sailed well before the wind. And also, when it was really windy, it was very tough for them. And this boat is in a museum in Galilee. So that actually, see that water there? That is the Sea of Galilee. And that water is actually where Jesus sailed in this kind of boat with the disciples. Okay? The reason we're doing this today, as I said, is there was an experience in which Jesus was in the disciples in a boat, and it got really, 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 really stormy. Have you guys ever been in a storm so bad that you were frightened? Were you? What was that? Big rainstorm? Were you in a boat? But you were outside in it, right? And you wondered if you'd come through it? Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what happened to them. You know, I don't know if you've seen the movie Titanic. Okay, did you see that movie? No? Have you seen it? You've seen it. Well, the Titanic was a little different. That was a huge, huge, huge boat, even bigger than the boats that go on cruises these days from Miami or Fort Lauderdale. Those people hit an iceberg, and their boat sank, okay? And a lot of people died. But whether you are in a storm yourself, or whether you were the disciples in that boat, or whether you were one of those people who were on the Titanic, they had the same kind of fear. And that fear was that they were going to die. Okay? That's what happened. And so that's why we're doing this today, to get a handle on what that might feel like. So frightened that you are absolutely terrified that you're not going to make it. And it is precisely at that moment that Jesus confronted them about their faith. Okay? And he calmed the waters. And he basically, he got upset with them. He says, where's your faith? Where's your belief in God? And I guess what he was telling us by that is no matter what you go through in life, whether it's a heavy-duty storm, or whether it's just a storm in your life or something really hard is happening to you and you don't know if you're going to make it through it, then what you have to do is draw on that faith that you've learned here from your mom and dad, that you've learned here coming to Vacation Bible School, that you've learned going to Sunday school, that there really is a God, and there really is a God that loves you, and that God will help you through that storm, and God will quiet you and calm you and give you the strength to go through it. You may not be able to see God, but you'll know that God is there. And that's what he wants us to know. And that's why you're sitting in this boat today. It's not going to sink. But no matter what happens, you've got God's hand to hold on to. All right, well, guys, I want you guys to take these. And else here that didn't come up? Do you know? All right. Yeah. Don't want anybody to trick her.
The Gospel reading, Mark 4, verses 35 through 41. Jesus stills a storm. On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd behind, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was. Other boats were with him. A great gale arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that the boat was already being swamped. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" He woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." Then the wind ceased, and there was dead calm. He said to them, "Why are you afraid? Have you still no faith?" And they were filled with great awe and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?"
Those of you who have been in Florida for some time, I'd like you to remember back to that fateful day on August 13th, a Friday, mind you, in 2004 when Hurricane Charlie came here. Does everybody remember what they were doing that day? You know, I've thought back to that over and over and over again. Because I remember that the hurricane experts seemed to think that, oh, it's not going to affect us. Oh no, it's not going to go in here in Punta Gorda or Port Charlotte. It's going to go in at Tampa. And that's not what happened. And I can remember my husband and I having a discussion that went on for about 12 hours about, we are in the red. We have got to get out of here. Oh, it's not going to hit us. Oh, no, we don't. And finally, he listened to me. And the reason I was so upset about it was when I was 4 years old, I got stuck on a beach in New Hampshire in the middle of a hurricane. I knew what it was like to be in the middle of a big storm. And I was not going to go there again. And so what was my problem? I mean, what did we do? We had our little emergency kit. You know, we got our medicines, we got our little diplomas, we had the Wycliffe Bible, and we had our Kirby vacuum cleaner. He's going, "Your Kirby vacuum cleaner? Why do you need that?" I said, "That thing cost us $1,000. Just because your grandmother used it, you wanted a Kirby vacuum cleaner." So I said, "I am not giving that up." So that and the animals went in the back of the truck, and we headed to the other side of the state. You know, those were the days when the little jokes were on the radio that said, "Well, where are you evacuating to this weekend?" Because hurricane after hurricane was going through here. Or you know you're in trouble when Jim Cantori, the weatherman, is in your backyard. Remember that one? Well, we got across the state and we listened to it. And I had friends who went through it, who lived in Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda. And I can remember coming back the next day, and we drove up through Fort Myers and up through Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte. And those poor dear souls who left Fort Myers to get away from it and then stayed in a hotel right where the hurricane came in Punta Gorda. And the maple leaf trailer homes were like someone had taken paper and just crumpled it. And there were all those lines down, you know, all the power was out. Well, that was a storm. And we were somewhat fortunate here in Northport, but nonetheless, many people in Port Charlotte and Punta Gorda went through some very, very tough times. They knew what it was like to go through a storm. And they knew what it was like to be afraid. Just as the storm that the disciples went through, they were paralyzed with fear. They were paralyzed with fear that they were not going to make it through that storm, that they were going to die, that they were going to perish. And Jesus was asleep. He was asleep. I mean, what was he doing asleep in the middle of a big storm? Well, you got to realize that maybe the rabbis or the Pharisees in the temple were not too popular, did not think too highly of Jesus, or maybe the Roman government did not think highly of Jesus, but the huge crowds of people just hung on every word, and they followed Jesus everywhere. They could not get enough of what he had to say, of what his message was all about. He was crowded so much by the people that he actually had to teach them from that boat. He had to get in the boat because there were so many of them to be able to teach them. And he was exhausted. He needed a break. He needed a time to refresh himself. And so they took off in the boat after he had finished his teaching. And this is in the book of Mark, where we have a series of parables. Last week, Joe preached on the parable of the mustard seed. And so his teachings were many times in parables because they were more down to earth and understandable. Well, this was the first time in Mark that we depart from that, and what we have is a miracle story. And what is a miracle story?